Hi ladies, I hope you had a great week. So this week you should have read week 2, which is Remembrance. So we were reading Joshua's 1, 3, and 4. So when we pick up, it's the story of Joshua. Moses had just died and Joshua is like his second in command kind of guy. And so God has called for Joshua to lead his people to the promised land. So to do this, they have to cross the Jordan River. And the Jordan River is a raging river, right? Seems super insane. They actually camped out for a couple of days just trying to figure out what they were going to do. But the Lord calmed it. But it wasn't until they took that step to go across the river that it got calmed. They took that step of faith. And that in itself is a miracle. Amazing. But after they crossed the river, Joshua and a couple of the priests stopped and picked up rocks as a remembrance of what God had done for them in this time. So they then could tell generation after generation about it, which is super cool, which brings us to Jacqueline's story. So Jacqueline is someone who definitely needs those tangible memories type thing. And it's super hard to put faith into that when faith is believing in that what you can't see. And so she said it was very difficult for her to step into faith. And so for so long, she just denied it. But it was only after a friend kept inviting her to church that she decided to go. She said she remembers being in the middle of worship when just feeling like, how are these people doing this? And she says she was smack dab in the middle of the evidence of the unseen, the thing she had been looking for, which is so cool. And then she talked about how Joshua, they remembered who God was both before, during, and even after the miracle. And they continued to practice that idea. But to do this, we have to be still. We have to listen for God and really take time to reflect on the things around us and what he's doing for us. And she talked about how our remembrance, our stones, can be a tool God uses to bring others to his presence. She said it strengthened the faith of believers and also became a starting point for someone else's journey with God. And she said specifically for her friend's story became her starting point. And I thought that was super, super cool. So as I was reading about the stones in Joshua, it reminded me of another story in the Bible. So in 1 Samuel chapter 7, it's talking about how the Lord delivered the Israelites from the Philistines in Mizpah and how they could see that God was helping them out. And 1 Samuel 7:12 says, Then Samuel took a stone and set it between Mizpah and Shen. He named it Ebenezer, saying, Thus far the Lord has helped us. And Ebenezer actually means stone of help. And so I remember my senior year of high school. It was actually the summer after my senior year. My youth group and I took a trip to Guatemala. We took a mission trip to Guatemala. And for some reason, just the name Ebenezer, we had talked about it beforehand, but the name Ebenezer just kept showing up that week. We actually drove past this little store that sold cinder blocks, and they called them Ebenezer stones. And so that's something we talked about on the trip, like what it meant to remember the things God was doing for us. And sometimes those are tangible pieces. And I got this coin in Guatemala, and this is the Ebenezer that I used to remember that trip. The Lord really showed up, not only for my team, but for me as well. It was a time where I was able to share my heart in a way I hadn't before. So I carry this with me in my wallet all of the time as a reminder that the Lord is always working, even if I don't see it. And that's super cool. Like, I love having that one stone, but I have more. And so I have this journal here. It's the things that I write my sermons in, right? And on it are a bunch of stickers, and they just look like fun stickers, right? Except each of these have a story to them. So this sticker right here, I got my freshman year when I went to South Carolina. And I got to see God work through children that week at a VBS. These stickers here are ones I got in Guatemala from the little girl that we got to spend the week with. And then this one right here is a fortune. And I was on a mission trip in DC, and I remember being super nervous for this trip. And it wasn't the first one I went on, so I wasn't really sure why I was nervous. But the first night, my team and I ate at a Chinese restaurant. And I got this fortune that says, adventure can be real happiness. And for me, that was God saying, the adventure I'm about to set you on this week is one that is going to be full of happiness. And then I have even more on the back. I have a fortune down here that I got when I was really struggling about school and what to do with my future. And it says, you do not worry about your future. You do not need to worry about your future, sorry. And so through these, I can see the way God is working in my life. There used to be one sticker, no stickers when I bought the book, and now it's full of them. And so sometimes it can be really hard to take that faith step, especially when you aren't seeing how it's working. But through things like a coin or stickers or stones, you can see how the Lord is working in your life. He is showing up, and suddenly what doesn't seem like a big deal is a notebook full. And through that, people can ask questions. Why do I have these stickers? What is the purpose of me carrying this coin? And then I get to tell them how God is working in my life. So yes, it can be very hard to take the second and think about what's going on and to be still. But once you get the chance to look back on these and look back at how the Lord is working in your life, not only can it be a starting point for someone else, but it's a great way to learn about how far you've come too. Thank you guys for listening to my part of the story, and I hope you guys had a way that you got to connect to, and I'm so excited to hear the stories to come.